Welcome back to Clean for Profit. My name is Colby. We're doing a solo podcast today, keeping it tactical, keeping it practical. Today we're talking about closing leads. We're not going to get into specifically like closing deals while you're doing the estimate. We'll cover that in a future episode. But today I just want to talk about the time in your business when you get a lead to the point where you are knocking on the front door to do an in-person estimate. This time seems like it's trivial. Like it seems like you're going to get a call every now and then, you're going to show up, you're going to do the estimate, whatever. I think it takes a long time for business owners to actually give this any consideration. But the reality is that if you dial this in, it will represent thousands and thousands of dollars, multiple five figures a year for your business, because you're not letting potential leads and potential jobs fall through the cracks. So I just want to talk about a few things that we do in my window cleaning business to make sure that we're securing leads and following up as quickly and effectively as possible. And I hope that by doing that, this will also bless your business as well. So in a business, in your home service business, you get leads, however you get them. You're out putting door hangers and somebody calls you, you're knocking on doors and somebody wants to get an estimate. You have a Google business profile, you're running LSA, you are on Facebook running ads, whatever it is. If you have a business, you have leads. Without leads, you don't have a business. So what do you do in the seconds, minutes, hours, and days after you get that lead? And if you don't have this figured out and dialed in, it's really, really important that you do that, because like I said, it's going to represent a lot of revenue for you on an annual basis. So the first thing that I want to talk about is speed to lead. What is speed to lead? Speed to lead is how quickly after a client expresses interest in your service are you communicating with them. How quickly after a client expresses interest in your service are you communicating with them? This is arguably the most important thing that you can master early on in your business. And it took me years to even realize that this was important, let alone implement especially automated responses to this. So I just want to throw a few stats out from you. These are from Lead Angel and a couple of other sources. 391%. 391%. That is the increase that you get for responding in the first minute of a potential client submitting an inquiry to your business. So when a client or the general public, when somebody fills out a form either on Facebook, on Google LSAs, or on your website, if you're touching them in some way in the first minute of them submitting that form, you have a 391% higher chance of converting that client than you would if you let it even go another minute. So, of course, if there's anything that you can do, it would be to get that first touch point mastered as quickly as possible. Another stat is that 78% of homeowners choose the first company that responds to their inquiry for services. So this is especially true on the app Thumbtack. For those of you who haven't used Thumbtack before, we've used it a little bit in our business. It's been hit or miss, but it has hit pretty good in the past. What Thumbtack does is homeowners use it as a way to find service providers, and service providers use it as a way to pay Thumbtack for leads. So when a homeowner expresses interest to Thumbtack that they're looking for a service in their area, it shoots out to multiple businesses at the same time, and multiple businesses can respond to that inquiry. So there is some competition, but this is where this really stands out, is that if you're the first person on Thumbtack, just as an example, to respond to a homeowner's inquiry, you have a 78% chance that if they end up hiring somebody, you're the one that they're going to hire. So you want to make sure that you are edging out people in that way as well. The other thing is that interest fades quickly, especially if you're using interruption-based marketing. There's intent-based marketing, like where you show up when somebody is out looking for your service specifically. And then there's interruption-based marketing, which is where you show up out of the blue. They weren't looking for you, and they've decided that they have some interest in your service. This is like Facebook ads or door hangers or something like that. Interest fades fast. People are on Facebook, they're scrolling, they're just going through the motions. They fill out a form because window cleaning sounds interesting to them. They hit submit. If you're not responding really, really quickly, that's going to be a problem. So what do we do to make sure that all of this is covered? Well, you can be on your phone every second of every day, refreshing all of your dashboards, refreshing your email, if that's what pings you when somebody fills out your website forms, or we can automate it all. So in our business, we use Zapier and some other tools to make sure that on our website, if you submit a form, it immediately texts the business phone number, which right now is not my number, but which right now I have control over. The same thing goes for Facebook ads. As soon as somebody fills out a form, it texts me, you have a new Facebook lead, first name, last name, number, zip code. All the information is right there, and the number I can just click and call right away. When we implemented this response system, especially into our Facebook ads, our response time went from about 2 to 3 hours to under 2 minutes on average. So that's been wild. And every 3 or 4 people that we call are just like, wow, you're fast, because a session on your phone, like scrolling, is usually only a handful of minutes. They're going to remember you in that session if they went so far as to fill out a form. And if you're calling them before they've even ended that session, you're going to be very, very memorable in that person's mind. And you're much more likely to schedule that estimate. So making sure that you have multiple touches right off the bat is extremely important. Another thing that we do before we even call is, at the same time, the automations that we have, at the same time that they're texting me the notification that I got a new lead, they're texting the client that says, hey, this is Colby with XYZ Window Cleaning Company. We got your, we heard that you're interested in our services. We'll call you shortly. In the meantime, is there anything that we can do to help you? This is really solid because it reinforces with the prospective client that they didn't just submit a form that went into the void. They submitted it to a real business that is active, and that immediate response really builds a small layer of trust, so that when you call, first off, they're more likely to answer, and second, they've already heard your name. They've already read your name in that immediate response text. So those are incredibly important for making sure that you're building trust with people right off the bat. As far as like internal KPIs go, key performance indicators, under 5-minute response time is good. Under 1 to 2 minute is elite. The bottom line here is you want to be taking minutes to respond, not hours or days. And it's funny because at first it was a problem because we weren't reaching out to them quickly enough. Now we're reaching out to them quickly enough. And I filmed this on January 18th, 2026. We're as busy right now in terms of estimate velocity and inquiry lead velocity as we were last June, which is our peak season. So even with the automations, again, it's going to be kind of a problem for us pretty soon because I'm still in the truck. We have a couple of guys that we're onboarding as window cleaning technicians and leads, but that hasn't fully arrived yet. And so I'm still on the truck. I'm driving. I'm doing estimates. Even with the instant notifications, I can't always reach out right away. So that's something that we're working on by this spring. We hope to have a high quality US based call center that is on board with all of our tooling, understands all of our scripting, understands our processes in terms of how to schedule estimates, when to schedule estimates, why we schedule estimates, common client objections to scheduling an estimate, and on and on and on and on, so that when we hand that off, they do it as good, if not better, as I can personally, and I have that whole thing just checked off of my list. I'm still thinking about how I'm going to implement this exactly, but when I hire my next technician, I think the offer is going to be for part-time at first, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Hopefully I can find somebody that's looking for that, because if I can train them during those days, and then Mondays and Fridays I can just have as full-on estimate days, so that my call center people know to schedule estimates on Mondays and Fridays. But I'll keep you updated on that as we get some progress towards that. So we'll see. The first thing here is you're texting them immediately, hopefully automatically. You don't want to, like, if you're texting them manually, you might as well just call them. But if you have an auto text built in, that's great. If you don't have all of these automations built out, that's fine. You can book a call with me and I'd be more than happy to like walk you through how we do it. But the most important thing is that if you are reaching out as a solo operator, don't text people to try to schedule an estimate. Call them. Call them first. It's okay if you text them if they don't answer, but in terms of hierarchical prioritization, call them as soon as you can. If they don't answer, leave a voicemail. After leaving a voicemail, if they don't call right back, within seconds, send them a text with exactly what you said on the voicemail, basically. So for us, for the majority of our clients, we don't ask, rather, for the majority of our lead capture strategies, we're not asking for their address. And we do in-person estimates for 100% of our jobs. So once I have a lead in, that's the only piece of information that I am still missing, which necessitates contact because we have to schedule it as well. So I need their address and I need to be able to schedule it. So that's why I'm reaching out. So if I call them, I'll leave a voicemail. I'll say, hey, this is Colby with Sierra Window Cleaning. I just got your inquiry that you're interested in a window cleaning estimate. We'd be more than happy to provide that for you. Just give me a call or shoot me a text at 111-111-1111, and we will get that scheduled as soon as possible. Then I'll text them right after that and say, hey, this is Colby, following up with Sierra Window Cleaning. We'd be more than happy to get you an estimate. All that we're missing is your address so that we can get you on our schedule. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to get you scheduled as soon as possible. Something like that. My coach, Nick, actually advised that when I do that, we don't do that anymore because it's all automated, but here's just a quick hack for you. There are shortcuts that you can build into your iPhone where, for example, you could like press and hold Z and then swipe up, and you could just have that templated message pop into your text field so that you don't have to retype that every time. I have typed that message probably 250 times. That hack alone would probably have saved me a dozen hours over the last few years. So I would do that for sure. But call them. They need to hear your voice. What you're doing in this phase of developing a client relationship is making sure that they know, like, and trust you. So you're always addressing yourself by name. You're always addressing them by name. So it sounds like you know them because they gave you their name. So you do know their name. And you're always making sure that if they have any questions, they're being answered. And over time, you're going to hear repeat answers, or questions rather, that come up again and again and again. And you'll have kind of bottled answers for that. So like one answer or one question that I get pretty often is, I have a 2,000 square foot home. How much does it cost to get my windows cleaned? And what I say is that I'd be more than happy to tell you about how our pricing is broken down. But we do in-person estimates for all of our clients to ensure that you and I know each other and that pricing transparency is 100%. We call it an estimate, but it's actually a quote. It's exactly what you're going to pay for window cleaning. And we don't like saying one thing over the phone and then having it end up being different. And so as long as that sounds okay, let's see if we can break our schedules out and get you on the calendar for an estimate. Sometimes they'll insist that you just tell them what it costs. In that case, I almost always tell them that a window to them might not be a window to me, because certain windows require ladder placements and on and on and on. So I try not to ever over explain that, because you really get in the weeds and you're not on the phone to prove yourself right. You're on the phone to follow your own processes so that you can smoothly facilitate new client relationships. So yeah, That's basically it. The only thing that I would say in addition to that that's a little bit off of topic is that in-person estimates are the only way. And I'm going to ruffle some feathers here. There's plenty of people that think that you can do over the phone estimates or get pictures and have the client send them to you. Um, we've done that probably 40 or 50 times. We've gotten it right once. Maybe that's on our end. Maybe I'm bad at doing over the phone estimates, but really, really, if you have the opportunity to do an in-person estimate, do it. Because if you're doing an estimate over the phone, first off, you're not building face-to-face rapport with your new client. That's the most important part of all of this. If you're just giving prices away over the phone, I used to work in sales. I sold RVs, and I didn't love this. On one hand, I just wanted to be able to be like honest and bring it out. But as part of our training, we were told not to really ever come up with the out the door price of the unit that we were selling because here in the US, at least most dealerships have an MSRP and then they have taxes and freight fees and a dealer markup. And so the MSRP is what shows online. That's what the manufacturer shows. But you have all those other fees that come behind it. Um, you know, like I said, I didn't love this personally, but it had its effectiveness because if somebody was ever asking the out the door price of a unit, we were prompted and trained to push for an appointment because what most people are doing when they're insisting on getting a price over the phone is they're just price shopping. And, you know, if you want it to be a part of your business to tell people how your pricing works over the phone before you even meet them, go ahead. But the people that you close that have price in mind first are not going to be the best clients. People that aren't willing to meet you in order to hear pricing are not going to be the best clients. They're not concerned about you. They look at your service as a commodity, and commodities can be shopped. So if you have a service that is high quality and you are somebody worth working with, you don't have a commodity. So don't treat your business and your services like they're a commodity because they're not. So the in-person estimates, I'll go into this in another podcast sometime, but I truly think it is the only way. It'd be pretty hard to argue me out of it. I mean, Dave has had a couple of jobs that were large dealerships that were 4 hours away that took multiple days, and they had enough portfolio pictures of that project for him to comfortably, analyze and make a judgment call. But I would say that's one of the rare exceptions. I would not make a habit of doing over the phone estimates for people that are under an hour from you. So that's just my 2 cents, but that's my spiel on speed to lead. I hope this helps you in some way. But it's incredibly important in this phase that you are, above all things, establishing trust in people who potentially want to hire you. So make it as personal as possible and make it as prompt as possible, because that's going to make you stand apart versus any supposed competition that you have. And that's the thing, is that there's really no other businesses. There's very few businesses that are this responsive. And so if you're worried about competition, the best thing that you can do is to build out systems and processes that allow you to respond to clients in this way. Because if you're competing on responsiveness and professionalism and promptness and personalization, like being a relatable person and establishing relationships with your clients, that's a side of competition that nobody can outcompete you in. So get after it, and we'll see you next week in the next one.